Welcome to Picks with the Professor, the sports betting show hosted by a real statistics professor. Cousin Jared, we are here for Monday, Major League Baseball, June 3rd, with 3 games to cover here on what I think is the shortest Monday slate of the year so far. We've had a lot of Thursday short slates. This is the first Monday when that's really short. We've had a lot of Monday games this year, so it's been nice. But it seems like that's about to shift. Maybe we'll have a little bit more Thursday action going forward, I guess. I don't know. But either way, we've got a pretty short slate here on Monday.
Yeah, and usually when there's a short slate, usually that means there's at least some day baseball, so we can get games spread out throughout the day. But we don't even have that tomorrow. We've only got the night games. So, it's MLB's throwing us a curve with Monday schedule.
They really are. But you know who's hitting those curves out of the park is us. You like that segue there.
Yeah.
The recap for Friday, Saturday, the free show picks 5-1. Some of the individual call-up plays did not do quite as well, but the other A grades did really well. So, we have just been rocking and rolling. And I think that's most evidenced by this slide here. But the A grades, which again, the B grades are the best model picks. The A grades are the subset of those that I picked out, have been doing just as well here. I was looking at the numbers today, and I'll have a formal post on this at some point. And we talked about it on the Discord, but we're talking about double-digit ROIs for B grades and A grades each of the last 2 weeks. One of them, I think, was over 20%. And we're talking about the A grades, that subset. If you want fewer plays, about 8 plays a day. These the best model picks. We're talking about, I think, 18. A day, because on a day with 15 games, right? That's 60 picks that we can make, 30 picks. I don't know what is math. Yeah. I guess because we got a side and a total and a first 5 side and a total, so we have a ton of picks that we can make. So it's not like it's every single one, but just been crushing it. Because Jared, what do you have to add to the discussion of just how awesome things have been here these last couple of weeks?
I would just say now is the perfect time to hop on board. You want to kind of strike while the iron's hot. We're not going to win, 20% ROI 1 week, 10%, whatever it might be. That's not going to sustain itself through the course of the season. We will be the first to acknowledge that. But we go through with baseball. You can go an entire month where just unbelievable. So now's the time to go. It's not going to be like the rest of the season. Got to hop on now.
Yeah, and although I would be remiss if I did not point out, we said this all NFL last season, and if you're with us for the NFL, it never it did stop. I think in the playoffs. In the playoffs, we're talking about just a couple games, so it's like, we had a weekend where we were like 0-3 in the playoffs, but like there were like 4 games, right? What do you do? Or 2 games, whatever you're gonna do. But we hung in there with that insane ROI for the NFL. So maybe we can't. But I guess maybe what we should say is that we're not necessarily expecting that. I think, a more modest, like 5% overall ROI, maybe in the upper single digits. We've long talked about slow and steady growth here, but we're going to have these hot stretches that'll help sustain us. Because like you said, we'll have a month where nothing goes our way and we'll be just barely breaking even, that sort of thing. And so you never know when the ups and downs come. But again, it's been fantastic here. If you are interested in getting more picks, the Discord chat, details, projections, the play of the day, all sorts of benefits over on Dub Club. That link's in the show description, or that QR code there will get you set up. Some quick reminders: pickswiththeprofessor.com/new will give you information about the model, the community rules. These are player-based models, so the ratings reflect the current roster. Injuries, matter. The average grade is 100. Higher implies more runs. Lower implies less runs. We are projecting an average game. 1 game is unknown. What that means is that when we say 55% winner, that means we are going to expect to only win that 11 to 20 times. I think we got one today that might be more like a 45% winner. We're only expecting to win 9 out of 20 times, but the price is what matters. And the idea is if we can make this play or a play very close to it 20 times, then by winning it the 9 if it's 45% or 11 if it's 55%, then at the right prices we will profit. That's what we've been doing. It's what we are known for here. But of course, as always, take what you like and leave the rest. Last but not least, we would like it if you could like this show. Let's get to it. We're going to start off with the Orioles and the Blue Jays. Because Jared, as you lamented, no day games, sadly, on a short slate for Monday. But this is going to kick off at 7:07 p.m. Eastern, low 60s. Might open the roof, might be a little bit too chilly. Either way, we're not here to really talk about the total, but with 2 good pitchers, we aren't expecting a ton of runs. Grayson Rodriguez and Kevin Gausman. Rodriguez, 3.53 ERA. FIP lines up right with that. XFIP's a little bit higher. That's why his grade's a little bit higher. Gaussman, I'm not concerned with whatsoever. I said this previously, 4.14 ERA, but a 3.11 FIP and a 3.26 xFIP. I still think he's one of the better pitchers in baseball. He's in the top 10 right now because this is up that out of 151 is out of active, healthy starting pitchers. He's not the 10th best pitcher in baseball. If you consider all the guys that are injured, they're probably 10 better than him that are injured because of all the dumb injuries that we have had to deal with. And that doesn't even consider someone like Steven Strasburg, who knows where he would be if he didn't have all of his injuries. So very good. That number 10 is, again, only because of all the injuries. Gaussman, though, we think is a better pitcher. Orioles is a better offense. Because, Jared, the Blue Jays offense has been a big disappointment.
Yep.
Many people have talked about that. Number 17, according to Sideline, we're as low as we can really go on them. I think when you look at some of the park-adjusted metrics in the Blue Jays, they actually are right around league average. So this is not a case where I would look at it and I would say, I think the model might be underestimated or overestimating this Blue Jays offense. I think we're kind of nailing it with them because when you look at what they've done this season, as disappointing as they've been, this is about where they are. They aren't that good. I think the tales of how bad they are more so relative to the expectations. If we didn't have the expectations, we would just say this is a very meh offense. But we expected more from them, and that's why we're disappointed in them. Neither one of these sets of relievers are anything to write home about. We think this is pretty close to a 50-50 game, but with it being in Toronto, we give them a slight edge, so they win 52% of the time. The threshold for the Blue Jays play is plus 105 because we're going to play the Blue Jays at plus 113. What are your thoughts?
So when Gaussman has really had like 3 bad starts this year, and when you go look at those 3 bad starts, and I'm sure if you go and look, this is like an indicator of poor starts for all pitchers, but his ground ball to fly ball ratio got really out of whack in the 3 bad games that he's had. So he would have like double the number of fly balls per ground ball or something like that. Normally he's getting more ground balls with that splitter, or he's at least even fly balls to ground balls. The Orioles are capable of getting the ball in the air. So maybe not the best matchup for Gaussman, but to your point, this is going to be a low scoring game. Really, I think the relievers are kind of a wash. Man, you just feel like the Blue Jays are a little bit better than what they have been showing so far this season. And to your point, seeing that the Blue Jays have the number 17 rated offense, according to Sideline, like that's just kind of hard to wrap your mind around.
It really is.
I was thinking like maybe 13 or something, but 17 feels a little low. I still like it.
To be fair, though, I mentioned this, there are a lot of teams right there in the middle. Like one good or bad series is going to shuffle a lot of them around. It's really close in there.
Yep. So I still like the Blue Jays here. Plus 113, backing Gaussman at home. He's had those few bad starts. 2 of those bad starts came in like the first 3 starts of the season. He's really been doing well since then. I like Gaussman at the plus odds. It's just one of those things where you don't get a chance to back a guy like this too terribly often. I'm going to take that opportunity.
Yeah, and he had some injury issues or whatever at the start, in the spring training start of the season too, which I think probably affected that. But again, overall with the xFIP still as low as it is, I think he's just fine. I think you make a great point. Very rarely do you get a chance to back a pitcher of his caliber at plus odds at home. Obviously, the Orioles are really good. We've loved backing the Orioles. We back the Orioles a ton and have long preached that they've been undervalued. This is just a case where I think maybe the narrative shifted a little bit too much. That doesn't mean the Orioles can't win this game, obviously. It's pretty close to a toss-up. The point is, if the narrative shifted a little bit too much against the Blue Jays, everyone's so disappointed in them, that doesn't change the fact that they're still a decent team. We're just disappointed because we thought they would be better, and that this is a pretty coin toss game. Getting the home team at plus 113 is just too good to pass up. Again, a long-term smart investment. Doesn't mean we're going to win every one of these, but if we win about half of them at plus 113, we're going to be doing really well. To a slightly later start here, Reds and the Rockies at 8:40 p.m. Eastern. Not quite the true late slot. We'll cover one of those, but the mountain slot here. Nice weather in Denver if you're able to get out for this one. Upper 70s start, low 70s to close. Mild breeze, 5 to 10 miles an hour, maybe a little bit of cross. Obviously, it's Coors Field, so we're expecting some runs. Andrew Abbott and Ryan Feltner. I am not a believer in Andrew Abbott. I'm sure he's a good guy. but 3.29 ERA is a lot of smoke and mirrors. Now, that said, in this start, anything can happen. You're at Coors Field. If you get shelled, good pitchers get shelled in Coors Field because it does weird things. It makes your ball spin differently, et cetera. and the ball carries as well. So it's not just you pitching, it's the hitting too, right? The Rockies offense is terrible. So maybe you have success. So I'm not trying to say necessarily what I think will happen in this one start. I have no idea. Again, one game is very unpredictable, especially in Coors Field.
Mm-hmm.
Put a pin in that note. Things are unpredictable in Coors Field. The point is, I think he's a little bit overvalued. His FIP is 481. His xFIP is 461. He projects to be a whole lot worse than he is, and I'm not sure he's the better pitcher in this matchup, despite having a better ERA. Obviously, Feltner's ERA is inflated because of half of his starts being in Coors Field, but his FIP and xFIP are in the low fours. Silent thinks Feltner's the better pitcher. If nothing else, it's pretty close. This Reds offense isn't good. It's better than the Rockies because that is a very, very low bar. But otherwise, the Reds have a little bit of an edge on offense, but this game's in Coors Field. Who the heck knows what's going to happen? It's really the poor man's version of the first game. That first game, I think, might be good quality baseball. This one, probably not. It's probably going to be terrible baseball, but it's the same concept. 50-50-ish type game, maybe lean towards the home team here, and we're getting them at plus odds, plus 120. I'm all over the Rockies here. Cousin Jared, tell us more.
Okay, so we talked about how we feel like we couldn't be any lower on the Blue Jays offense. The Rockies offense is bad. We will acknowledge that.
Yep.
It's very difficult for me to think that this Rockies offense could actually be worse than this. Like, you feel like this is like the bottom of the barrel, really. And I'm not saying like they're going to go up. Like, I'm not saying that. It's just that this feels like Sideline could not be underrating their offense more.
Oh, you mean can't be overrating them?
Yeah, sure. They are somehow 13-14 at home. And so, we were talking earlier this season that it's like, usually they had like an 80 offense or an 85 offense, and mix that in with Coors and just a slightly different type of hitter that they may be able to get away with there that most of the teams can't, just because of how the field plays,
and their pitchers knowing how to handle what the ball does, how the spin changes. They've historically every single season had one of the biggest home field advantages.
Yep.
With regards to how different the record is at home and the road, which is kind of what you talked about. They're 500 at home.
Yeah, and this offense is so bad that I was like, if there were a season where that home field would not present itself, it could be this season. And, here we are at the beginning of June, and it looks like just about every other Rockies team with somehow a worse offense, but still the same results at home. They took
just a little bit worse overall, maybe, but much better at home than the road. That road record is atrocious. They're about 14 games underwater on the road.
Yeah, they swept the Rangers at home earlier this season. They recently took 2 out of 3 from the Phillies, took 2 out of 3 from the Guardians at home. I mean, they're just
all teams much better than the Reds are.
Yes, they are just they're fine at home. And I will back a fine team at home at plus 120 against this Reds team that is just also fine.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is the Rockies have a chance to win every series at home, even with how bad their offense is, because when they play a team like the Reds, you're like, who the heck knows what's going to happen, right? Yeah. The Reds are only about starting pitching, right? That's really their big thing, Lodolo and Green, some of these guys. Otherwise, they're not a very good team. And it's like, if those guys aren't finding it in that altitude, the Rockies can win that game. Like the only team the Rockies you would think struggle with are the teams who are just dominant, like the Dodgers type. The Astros, they got crushed twice by the Astros in Super Coors, right, in Mexico City.
Yep.
Those really good offenses. But other than those top teams, and even then, I would say the Phillies and the Guardians are trying to throw their hats in that ring. The Rangers just won the World Series, and they still did well against them. Yep. Who knows what's going to happen here? Again, between these first 2 games, one of them wins, one of them loses. Don't know which one. We'll take the plus odds, we'll take the small profit. That's what we are about here. But as always, folks, shop around. Make sure you have multiple books in your account. We like it here at plus 120. The model threshold is basically even money. But if you can get plus 125, plus 130, that's more winnings when you win. It's less losing when you lose. We're going to win some. We're going to lose some. Always find the best price. If you don't have an account at BetUS, sign up today. 125% bonus on your first ever 3 deposits.
BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus 10% gambler's insurance. Get started today. BetUS, where the game begins.
Cousin Jared, I'm just glad that in these 3 games that we're picking, like, I think there are 8 games on the slate. 3 of them didn't even have lines. We record this early enough, sometimes the run lines aren't even out there. I'm just glad we have 3 picks that we like that are all reasonable odds. When I was pulling the numbers, I was like afraid we're going to have to pick somebody that's like minus 220 or plus 250 or something ridiculous. But we've got 3 reasonably odd prices, which is I feel like tough to do given the small slate here.
Yeah.
We're going to take the Padres at minus 132 at the Angels. Padres, a much better team on offense than the Angels. The Angels just look pathetic. I don't know. Like, some of their stats look okay, I guess, but I don't know what's going on with them. They're not as bad as their record, I don't think, but they keep finding ways, it seems like, to lose baseball games in every which way possible, it seems like. Matt Waldron and Tyler Anderson, two pitchers I'm not a huge fan of here. But Waldron, even though his ERA is a little bit higher, it's because of a couple bad starts. His underlying metrics are much better. 346 FIP, 379 xFIP, and actually projects to be the better pitcher here because Tyler Anderson, another guy, all smoke and mirrors, 247 ERA. But an xFIP of 5, folks, that is very predictive in that it's going to start going the wrong way against an offense like the Padres. Might be a good time to start going the wrong way here tonight. We've got the Padres winning this 61% of the time. The threshold for a play, minus 143. We've locked in the Padres at minus 132. Cousin Jared, what are your thoughts?
So to your point of the Angels just not being a very good team at all, their expected wins is actually 3 wins higher than what they have. So, their expected wins, they should be about 24 wins as opposed to the 21 that they have now. But the thing is they are 6-13 in one-run games. They are 0-3 in extra inning games. The fact that you have had absolutely terrible luck in one-run games, terrible luck in extra inning games, and you're still only expected to have won 24 games at this point in the season is not good at all. And the Padres have been about what you would expect. They're about 500 in those one-run games. Man, I don't know. I love to fade the Angels. It's just, something about it. It felt like you got a lot more, or at least in my opinion, you got a lot more value out of it whenever they at least had Trout and Ohtani in the lineup. And, there was significant value there all the time. Now everybody knows the Angels are bad. So
we have to pick our spots.
Yeah. That's just what I was going to say. All the more, in my mind, all the more reason you need to be fading the Angels right here, because I don't think you're going to have a ton of opportunities as we go down the stretch, especially if, the Mariners keep playing okay. A bunch of these teams in the West are playing okay.
They all have like negative run differentials. Like, I don't know. They're all.
But they're all way better. They're all much better than the Angels. Are. And so what I'm saying is I don't know how many, and everybody knows that they're better. Even the A's, like the A's are probably, like, in my mind, better than the Angels are.
I think it's probably true.
At least from the perspective of they may not be that much better, but like the feels around the team, like nobody expected the A's to do anything.
And part of it, I think, is the bullpen. And I don't think, like, I'm trying to say statistically accurate here that, them doing so poorly in extra inning and one-run games is not 100% predictive of a bad bullpen, right? That's not necessarily the way it goes. But that is a small indicator, right, of something like that. Like, that is going to contribute to those struggles. And that's at least where the A's, you feel like they can at least hold a lead. Now, they've lost one of their better relievers to the IL, but they've still got a decent relief core. And that at least feels like when the A's are in a game, you're like, they can pull this off. When the Angels are playing, you're like, I don't really know what's going to happen if the starter doesn't go 9. Like, anything's on the table. And like you said, the feels of that are just a whole different animal with those two teams, as bad as they both are.
Yep. So I think you got to pick your spots to fade the Angels now. You're not going to get a ton of opportunities, I don't think. And so I think you want to do that here.
Yep, I think you're right. We're going to lock in the Padres here. 2 dogs and a small favorite here for Monday. More picks over on Dub Club, more projections. We'll have the first 5 picks out, of course, in the morning. Made a little welcome video, a little intro video. I've been meaning to do that for years and drop that on YouTube if you haven't seen that yet. Just give you a little bit of a sneak peek behind the curtain of all the things you get on Dub Club, how to utilize those plays, etc. Again, sign up today on Dub Club. Because Jared, parting words before we head out.
I've been watching all the trailers for the new college football video game.
Yeah.
I told myself I wasn't going to buy like a PS5 just to play this game, but every time that I actually see something about the game, I'm this much closer to just buying a PS5.
I've been having the same thoughts. I feel like when we finish this recording, we're gonna have to have a discussion about this because I've been meaning to ask your opinion about this. And I say that, and I'm sure there's some viewer out there who's like, no, I want to hear y'all's thoughts. I want to hear y'all talk about it, but I think most people probably don't. So we're gonna sign off here for this show. But if you want to hear more of our thoughts, maybe we'll talk more in the Discord about it because that's obviously some big news. Otherwise, though, as always, thank you for watching. Best of luck, and remember, you can eat your betting money, but please don't bet your eating money.